Yeah, I I went to the church the other day telling what I thought about the Bible, and lady tells me I could be a preacher. I taught her something about the Bible. So I need to come back to her church and preach a little bit. I'm thinking, man, I could go to the church and I could preach a little bit, man. They'd love me. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna tell them all about sedition and treason and heresy. And it's like, I don't know if that's gonna go over well. See, I'm kind of looking for a church, but that's what I want to talk about: treason, sedition, heresy, and it's like they don't get it. I mean, they got a constitutional right to talk about their religion, but they don't understand their religion. They're over, oh, I want Jesus to come back. Oh, I want Jesus to come back. And it's like, really, you want somebody to come into your church and talk about treason, sedition, heresy? You know? I mean, think about it. Why were people burned at the stake for teaching about the Bible? Yeah, they were committing heresy, going against what somebody else was teaching. So, I mean, I don't think they wanted you to know about your government or how it's created. Hell, I mean, the Bible could have been written. That's what our country's turning into, is exactly what's in the Bible. We're going to have an Ark of the Covenant at our capital. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, let's look at the treason, the sedition, and the heresy. What could be wrong with that, and where do you learn that in the Bible? Well, you got Genesis. In Genesis 3:24, he takes cherubim and places them at the Garden of Eden, protect the tree of life, knowledge of good and evil. So you're going to get the knowledge of good and evil. You understand the tree of life. The tree of life is like a family tree. Lord God's family tree. It shows his government. That's the branch on that tree. Okay? But those cherubim, that's law and religion. And that sword, that's the thinking concept. That's right there in Genesis. Now, when you take those cherubim, you place them on the Ark of the Covenant on top, you put a mercy seat there. Here comes the treason and the sedition and the heresy. Okay, this is the understanding you get with that. You got a mercy seat on the top of the Ark of the Covenant with the cherubim. That's a thinking concept. Well, how does that thinking concept work? Well, let's look at the bottom part of the Ark of the Covenant. That's the representation of Moses' Lord God. It has manna in there, and manna is human nature. Okay? So what's that mercy seat represent? Well, that mercy seat represents Jesus. Okay, so that's Jesus. You got law and religion. What do the Ten Commandments do? Well, that makes Moses' Lord God. Wow. And what are those laws? Those are 10 good laws. So you got 10 good laws that makes Moses' Lord God. Yeah, that's just a representation. It's telling you how it's done. Okay, because Moses was building governments. So those 10 good laws make Moses' Lord God. Yeah, how do you make a bad God? Well, you make a bad law. Huh, well, what's that tell you? Well, this is what it tells you. If you got a Lord God, you're a Lord because you're subservient to that Lord God. And if you got an evil Lord God, it's not in your human nature to follow him. Well, what does that make you? Lord God. There's the treason, the sedition, you're learning it, the heresy. Now, why would any government want to hide this from you? Well, they'd want to hide it from you because people would understand that they're in charge of the government. What do you mean? Well, you got the United States of America. If the states turn on the people and the people turn on the states, what do the people become? The United People of America. No more states. See? The people rule. Okay? That's how that works. It's just an understanding. Then you have to talk about it to understand your government. You have to understand what happens and how it gets taken over. And that's the treason and the heresy in that. Okay, so now you learned about Genesis and Exodus. Okay, so how's that building nations? Well, you got to look at the 5 books that Moses wrote. Okay, we're in Exodus, so if you look at Exodus, Moses' father-in-law comes and talks to him. You know, and he hears about him getting out of Egypt and everything, and they're all happy about that. Well, Moses' father-in-law watches Moses judge and preach on people day and night. And he's like, hey, Moses, you can't do that. You need to teach people to do that. So that's what Moses is doing, is he's teaching people how to do his job creating nations. So he writes 5 books. Have you read the 5 books of Moses? Genesis, in the beginning. Exodus, how to get rid of a tyrannical government and create your own. Leviticus, in case you're crazy on the religion and you don't understand there's law there, you need to go back and read Genesis again and get this understanding with the cherubim and the Ark of the Covenant, and so you understand what you're looking at and what you're talking about. You're talking about building nations. So you got in the beginning, how to get rid of a tyrannical government, create your own. Leviticus, in case you're crazy on religion. There was a word translated for that. And you got Numbers. That's how to use the Ark of the Covenant to get people to get your armies together, because you're teaching them the law so they understand what's going on there. And then you got Deuteronomy, what your Lord God expects of you. The 5 books of Moses are teaching you how to build a nation. He wrote them to tell you this. Tells you that right there in Exodus. Okay, so you got these 5 books and you're building nations. Great. You know? Is any of this making sense to you? I mean, look at it in Exodus. He sticks his hand inside his bosom and he pulls it out, and it's leprous white. His hand rules his country with religion. He puts his hand back in there and he pulls it back out. It's restored to normal. His hand rules with law. So his hand rules with law and religion is what that's telling you. Okay? Are you understanding this? That he's going to talk to the pharaohs and that's what he learns doing that. Alright? So, I don't know. Then you got to ask yourself, well, geez, if there's a small concept in Genesis and a larger concept in Exodus, is the Bible a concept also? Well, hell yeah, it is. You got Revelations. In Revelations, it tells you God is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Well, if you think about that and you're in Revelations, how could God be the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end? Well, here's the way it goes. He allows you to build every government on earth, okay? He gives you free will to choose your gods and so on and so forth and everything else. So this is an understanding that the Bible gives you. This is just the words in the Bible and the understandings that the book is telling you, a story gives you, okay? He's the beginning and the end. Well, if you get the God structure right in the beginning, one supreme God and no gods before him, because that's what the book is telling you, it does have an ending. That's when God comes back, checks his work, and renews his covenant with you. He is the Alpha and the Omega. Small concept, thinking concept in Genesis, larger one in Exodus. The Bible's a concept also. Great work of art, writings, and so on and so forth, done by 70 scribes that were writing them for the countries that they were in charge of, and they were all collaborating together and made this book. Okay? So, and you got the King James Version. They dumbed it down and you know, made it so you really couldn't understand it and whatever, because I guess that's what they could get past. But, hey, good book. So anyways, if you want Jesus to come back, you need to talk about the treason, the sedition, the heresy. Okay, I had a great-great-great-great-grandfather that got burned at the stake in 1555, Roland Taylor, all right, for heresy. What was he teaching? Oh, he was teaching the freaking Bible, but he didn't have the Constitution to protect him. You got it. You can talk about your religion. You can understand that. And let me tell you something. I love my government. I am not trying to overthrow my government in any way, shape, or form. Okay? I love my government. I live in the land of God, in the land of laws. That's who I'm subservient to, is my Lord God, which is my government. And my government is in line with my God. Okay? So, I love my government. I don't care who the president is. All right? I don't really think my government needs a president. All right? my laws protect me. This is the way that works. Whoa, you got to see that for what it is. I mean, I put all my faith and everything into my government, Now, if I lived in a different country where I didn't have the Constitution to protect me and whatever else, my government would not be in line with my God. All right? My government would not be in line with my God. I would be in line with my God, and my government would be below me. That's my thinking. That's the way I think. That's the way I'd see it. That's the way I would understand what's going on. Okay? So if my government's not in line with me, it's below me. I'm above that. I'm right in line with my God. I'm always going to be there. Okay? So if my government's in line with my God, then my government's above me. I'm subservient to my government. It's just a state of mind and a thinking concept. So anyways, I love my government and everything, and I wanted to talk about treason, sedition, and heresy to you, and I think I've done a pretty good job. If you got any questions, ask them. I'll see if I can answer them. Have a good day.